Here we are for part 2. Okay, so today I'm going to do the same colors that I have on my set picture in here. And remember that these black things only can be put on after the painting is dry, so you're going to have to be a little patient. But the watercolor part is definitely fun, so let's get to it. That's what it looks like before the colors get put on, or the black marker gets put on. So let's try this. And on my watercolor paper, I'm just going to draw some shapes here. And uneven numbers always look better than even numbers, but I'll leave that up to you. I've got a variety of shapes. I'm overlapping some of them. And this one, you can go off the edge of the paper if you'd like. This is your creative endeavor, so you can do whatever you like. There's a little one in here. And let's see, how many have I got in here? I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's go for lucky number 7 in here. And let's do this. Now you're going to have to let the water sit on here, and with your containers of water, okay? So one will be for rinsing your brush and one will be for adding. So you want to keep your water supply pretty clean and have it so that it's handy, so you don't have to reach across your painting because you don't want to drip on it. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to start off, I think, with the green, and I'm just going to add some water on top of my paints like this. That's the blue. I think this is going to be the purple in here. And I'm just adding some water on top of it. I'm not even mixing it up yet. I'm just softening it up. And I think I'm just going to add a little bit of just in there. There we go. And then rinsing off my brush so that it's really clean with the fresh water. I'm going to put water on my circle, but I'm only going to put it on half or thereabouts. And I'm going to leave part of it dry. I'm just going to let that sit. Here's my napkin. And then I'm going to mix my brush up so that I have green paint being mixed up here. And I'm going to start off on the dry part first, but look at what happens when it touches the water. It spreads out like crazy. Good. I'm going to leave some parts thicker, some parts thin. And letting the water spread is the fun part of watercolor. And it takes a while to learn how wet your paper is, how much moisture goes on your brush, but I know that you can do a good job. And here's another tip. You can actually move your paper around like that. There we go. And I'm just going to go do this on the edge of my paper like that. That looks beautiful. Now, while it's still wet, here's your first watercolor secret. As long as the paper's wet, you're good to go. As soon as the paper starts to dry, you'll get funny effects, blooms, and things will happen that you won't like as much. But since mine is still wet, now I'm going to go into the next color, and I'm going to use a different well for it in here, which is my blue. This looks beautiful. Now watch what happens when I put it in here. Wow. Looks pretty neat, eh? Love it. Now, when you use analogous colors, the colors will mix together really nicely. If you use complementary colors or colors that are opposite each other, you'll get some neutral kind of grayish tones, which aren't bad. But for this section, we're going to go for the clean colors first. Now, we're going to let this dry, and we're going to go to a new one. And let's try one that doesn't touch our other one. Let's go for a new section in here. and I'm going to go into the fresh water and I'm going to wet it down the middle this time, almost like a zigzaggy pattern, just inside my circle. Then I'm going to go inside of my purple paint, and this time I'm going to do my two sides in here. Starting on the dry side, this is going to be pretty thick, and look at it spread. This is going to be fabulous. Wow. Now, I think I went a little overboard, so here's another secret tip. You can take away with a drier brush and watch what happens when I soak it up. Rinsing it off, I'm going to dry it off and scoop up some more color because I put too much on. Kind of looks like a planet, doesn't it? I think so. Now a good watercolor brush will hold a lot of paint, and you just use it for watercolors. You don't use it for any other kind of painting. And it'll last for a long time and give you the effects that you like. I'm just going to make this a little bit mushier in here. There we go. And straighten this edge around in here because this was getting a bit bumpy. Nice. That looks better. Kind of looks like a bit of a moon, doesn't it? And I'm just gonna, there we go. And I'm just gonna let that one dry. Now for my last one, I'm gonna turn my paper around, and you can see that this is still wet here. So I'm gonna go for a whole new spot, which would be right down into here. And I'm gonna try this one with the clean water. And I'm going to make a little bit of water in here, and the rest will be dry. And I'm going to go for my blue this time, into my blue pile here, and I'm going to start painting my beautiful blue. Oh, there's a hair hanging off of there. There we go. And watch it spread into the watery part. Now, let's try an experiment. Brushing off, and I'm going to drop some clean water in here. Watch what happens. I can soften this edge as long as I keep it kind of wet. And I'm going to wash off my brush, and this time I'm going to take some purple. That's a strong color, and I'm going to mix some purple into here. Wow. Blends like crazy, and it looks like a wonderful planet or something. That's pretty cool. And get some water, and I'll just mush this over here. And you can spin it around on your paper. Look at that. Now, if you get too spinny, you might go right outside of your circle, and you don't really want to do that, so just be careful when you do that. And I'm just going to go to the edge of my picture in here, to my edge of my circle. I'm going to just spread it out nicely like that. That looks very nice. Now, with a dry brush, I've dried it on the napkin, and I'm just going to, wow, that looks pretty cool like that. Wow. And I'm just going to rub it. Too much paint, you can take it off as well as put it on. Wow. Looks beautiful. And there's my first shapes. Let's try it.